My girlfriend gets mad at me when I express my feelings. Welcome to r/relationships, where people explain their relationship problems. My girlfriend says she won't stick around if I keep hanging out with my female friend. So me, 23 meters, and my girlfriend, 26F, are having an issue with my friend, 25F. Jane, my girlfriend, does not like the fact that I go and hang out with my friend Cassie by myself. I told Jane that I don't have any feelings for Cassie and that I have never had a sexual history with her as well. Cassie and I were friends before Jane and I started dating. Currently it's been a 5.5 month relationship with Jane and I'm really in love with her. The issue got brought up because one weekend, Jane was busy and wanted to be alone. She wasn't answering my calls and was acting cold through text messages. So I just planned my weekend and hung out with friends. One day, being a breakfast outing with Cassie, when Jane and I finally talked and I told her about my weekend. She was like, "How do you think that's okay?" And I was kinda baffled. She also said, "You realize she likes you and don't play dumb." At the end of all of that, she said she would not stick around for that. To me, that insisted she didn't trust me and that I would date Cassie. In the end, I don't feel anything for my friend other than a friendship. Extra facts about Cassie: mostly hang out with her in groups and only have hung out with her 3 times total by myself. The weekend Jane was being cold, I told Cassie she wasn't really talking to me. Cassie just said that I was probably overthinking it, which I thought was friendly advice. Sometimes we text and FaceTime. Please let me know if I'm starting something bad here. I love Jane, but I'm not sure if maybe being Cassie's friend is a good idea or not. Maybe hanging out one-on-one is a bad idea. My wife had an affair, says she might want to leave me. I live in a medium-sized town in Central Europe and have 2 kids, one kindergarten age and one in primary school. My wife and I have been together for approximately 15 years by now. We are both mid-30s. One day after Christmas, my wife sent the kids to her parents and told me she needed to tell me something. Then she confessed that she has had an affair with a priest from our local municipality. This had been going on for 2 months, but she claimed that she had actually loved him from afar for 2 years. Naturally, I had not noticed anything. Now, the nasty details: it was in fact the priest, not her, who first told her that he loved her. He did so upon the advice of a coach working for the church. He is 20 years older than her. He is also married, several children living in his household. They had sex 3 times, once in our house, while I was in my office, and twice elsewhere, while I was watching the kids, which my wife had asked me to do, because she needed some time for herself. She claims she loves the man more than she has ever loved me. She told me only when the wife of the priest had already found out about it, and it was only a matter of time before she would inform me. Even then, she withheld information and I repeatedly caught her lying about important details. We did not break up immediately afterwards because I love her dearly and feel a strong responsibility to our 2 small children. Their tiny world would shatter if their parents broke up. So, there was a lot of arguing, shouting and some broken porcelain, but eventually we decided to move on and try to revive our relationship. So did the priest and his wife. The first days afterwards were very good, even so good that she called them a second honeymoon. She was very relieved that I decided to swallow the pain and continue with her, and she enjoyed to see that I immediately changed the things that she had criticized on me and which, according to her statements, were responsible for her loving me less and for falling in love with the priest. She also promised to change some of her behavior and did so. We have been speaking days and nights and are both quite drained by now. However, the more time passes, the more detached is she becoming of me. At first she claimed she was lovesick from having to part with her lover priest. Then she claimed our relationship had been broken long before she fell in love with that priest, which had been an escape and cry for help. She also said that I had hurt her too often and that she was surprised that I say that I still love her. Regarding her injuries, we argued a lot, and I'm someone who can say unpleasant things in a very blunt and aggressive way, which indeed tends to hurt people. I do, however, usually not resort to swearing, and I would never hit a woman. Basically her injuries were disagreements where I refused to give in. Most of them about small things such as evening plans, but these arguments often ended in tears. I'm also someone who works a lot in an office job, so I was often not at home, or, if I was, mentally absent because I was too tired, or simply could not make myself interested in the stories she told, which were often about people I barely know, or about the same problems that she had told me about before. She is someone who tends to lament over problems instead of resolving them. I personally had recognized that we had problems, but was far from seeing our relationship as broken. In fact, I was, in balance, quite happy. During the last few days, she has now told me that she never loved me as much as I love her, and that she did often not like it when I was close to her, or even in the house. This is a reason why she often avoided me, sexually and in other matters. This had started about 7 years ago. When she told me, I immediately recognized what she meant. She indeed has been acting like this for a long time. However, she had always claimed that it was my fault because I was too pushy. Our current situation is that she will now speak to a family counselor to find out what she wants. I'm supposed to wait until she takes that decision and or make up my own mind. I do not want to lose her though, and hate that she tells me that I should think about this. I'm completely devastated by now. 2 weeks ago I was living a seemingly good life with a great family. Now all I have is a pile of shards. I still love my wife, even if I struggle to find good reasons for it after all that happened. I can't bear to think of what would happen to the kids if we split, and I have non-stop violence fantasies about that fucking priest. The worst part of it is that the circumstances make it quite likely that she would take the kids for most of the time, which would make me a weekend dad. I detest this thought. It is like being subjected to the worst parts of being a dad while not getting the parts that are so magical and beautiful. At this point I seek your advice on how to save my marriage and family. Any advice on how to seriously fuck this priest over legally is also welcome. Thanks. My dad shows just how worthless he is. How do I deal with this new anger? My biological father is leaving his mother, my grandma, 70, with the only option of selling her house. The guy mentioned above turned to drugs not long after I was born. My grandma, his mom, has given him a tremendous amount of help in so many ways to help him get his life together. I could make a long list of things she did, but that would make this post far too long. She is an angel. I never knew him since my mother kept me away from him while he was using. He did not get clean until I was around 6. Rarely paid child support. After getting clean he never made the effort to re-enter my life. Even though after getting clean, he never lived more than 10 minutes away at his mother's house, my grandma. He finally moved out about 2 years ago when I was 19. So he lived with her for about 13 years. He has always been a worthless father in my eyes and is now also a worthless son. Today I visit my grandma, his mother. She tells me once her kitty passes away she is going to sell her house and move into assisted living. She told me she is choosing this option because the guy noted above is her only family in town and barely answers her calls. Takes days to return the calls. Makes empty promises of things he will help her with, for example, shoveling snow and changing light bulbs. She is very healthy and active, but she knows her limitations. She says he is not reliable to check in on her to make sure she is okay, so she feels more safe being around a community like an assisted living. Mind you, he lives no more than 7 minutes from her and has plenty of time in his day to give her a call. I'm not implying that he owes her anything because she birthed him, or that this should be his responsibility to watch after his mom in her old age. It's that fact that this woman spent so many years, put so much effort and stress into him to help him get his life together. Now he can't put in a small amount of effort to at least give her a phone call, lend a hand, do literally anything to return a favor. I wish I could step in more, but I moved away for college. This situation breaks my heart and makes me angry. She leaned her open arms for years and he can't even offer her a hand. How do I deal with all this? We have never had a relationship and currently have almost no communication, so this isn't something that I feel comfortable confronting him about. This isn't about me, and I'm not a main character. Now what? Girlfriend 19/F flips out on me 20/M for expressing my feelings. So other day my girlfriend and I agreed to hang out before she goes to work and after she gets off work. She would work from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, then I would pick her up from work, drive her back to her house to change, then we would get dinner, to go back to my house to hang out. BTW, this is my first girlfriend and we have been dating for 3 months. So we hang out before she goes to work, then I go home to wait. At 7:59 I'm waiting for the text to come get her from work. She texts me asking, hey, would it be okay if I go friend's house? The girls are leaving soon and I want to see them before they go back to school. Of course I said yes, but I felt a little bad because I had cleaned up my house and I was looking forward to spending time with her. We still went to dinner, then I dropped her off at her friend's house and I went back home and did nothing since my plans had fallen through. Next day I ask her if she would like to come over my house later and she responds with, I might be going to Lex's, but I will let you know. So about 2 hours goes by and I'm still texting my girlfriend back and forth. I check Snapchat and see my girlfriend posting pics of her with her friends at Lex's. I'm a bit irked by this because 2 weeks prior to this, she told me I shouldn't have to check Snapchat to see where you are, so I find this hypocritical. I ended up staying home. Around 8:30 I get a FaceTime from my girlfriend, except it's not my girlfriend. Her guy friend, who I've met and I like, said, yo, what's up man? What are you doing right now? Why aren't you here? So I awkwardly reply, IDK, I'm just at home. This sorta irked me a little because why is he asking why I'm not there when I never received an invite in the first place? Anyway, a bit later my girlfriend notices my texting has been dry and she said, you're being distant. So all I said was, I'll be honest, I feel a little bad, our plans fell through last minute and today you didn't let me know what you were doing. Then she flipped out and said I'm a liar for saying it was okay for her to go to her girl's house the day before and that I knew she might be going to Lex's. Then she said I was nitpicking and bashing her and started this fight. She asked me how I was feeling and I literally said I just felt a little bad. We've had communication issues in the past, so I tried being open and honest this time and she just flipped the hell out. Conflicted whether or not I, 23F, should break up with my fiancé, 22 meters, over his refusal to change. As the title says, I'm on the verge of breaking up with my fiancé. We have been dating for almost 4 years, engaged for 1 year. I love my partner very much. He is a truly amazing person. He is truthful, caring and loving. The problem I have with him is that he is not making any progress in his life, which consequently hampers a life relationship wise. He is deeply confused about how he wants to live, who he wants to become as a person. He hasn't finished his degree and hasn't been able to find a career path since. He considered himself an artist in the beginning of our relationship, but gradually got disappointed with the people's response to his paintings as no sales had been made. Looking back, he hasn't even promoted himself as much, so he hasn't been painting much at all. Where I come from, it's culturally prevalent that young adults live with their parents until they get married, especially for girls, as sex before marriage is taboo. So we both live with our parents right now. That's why we were planning to marry, so that we could move in together. So obviously he was expected to be earning money so that we could afford living together. But till now all what he has been doing for 3 years was playing video games most of the time. He tried working at an office job, but it didn't go well. I think he might be depressed as he is constantly low on energy. He has no interest in anything except for gaming. He doesn't go to therapy because he says he can't afford it. Or maybe he doesn't want it. He could ask for money from his parents. His mom is a psychologist, so I'm sure she would be glad to help him. The breaking point for me came when I decided to study abroad. At first he agreed to apply to a uni with me too. I was beyond happy at the time. Finally something is happening. But as time progressed he didn't do anything about it. Eventually he expressed zero interest in doing all of this. Now I understand that it will only be me who will apply and move. He says that long distance shouldn't be an issue for us if we are a strong couple, but I seriously doubt if I should continue being with him in the first place. For all this time I tried to be an understanding partner. I tried making him feel comfortable and not too pressured so that he could find what he truly wants to do, so that he wouldn't end up with a job he despises. But now I feel like I'm catering a baby who doesn't wish to change. He hates the situation he is in, but he believes that by doing literally nothing about it is the only possible way to solve his issue. He truly believes in it. He expects me to wait for God knows how long until the things will be figured out by itself. I asked him to please start doing something more active, search for ways to heal himself, but he refuses. He says his way is the only way. To be honest, one part of me wants to start a brand new life in another country, but on the other hand I feel extremely guilty that I have these wishes. I don't know if my situation with my boyfriend is sufficient enough to break up with him. Am I a bad partner for leaving him when he is in his lowest times of his life? Should I wait more? But what if he will not do anything at all, and I will basically have to live with his mom and be the only breadwinner, as I will not be able to pay for rent alone? What if I get pregnant? What happens next? I'm extremely confused. What should I do? Should I break up? My mom texts my friends and girlfriend constantly. My 21 meters mom, 61F, keeps texting my friends and girlfriend. It's always been annoying and overbearing, but it's crossed a line. She almost texts some of my friends more than I do. She has never met most of them nor my girlfriend. I met my GF around a year ago. My mom asked for her number for emergencies, but I knew what would happen. I said no as she and I weren't dating yet and had really only been talking for 3 or so weeks. My mom proceeded to check my recent followers on Instagram and ask around among them to figure out who she was. Once she figured it out, she began texting her. I don't want this. She has also continued to talk to some of my close friends she had messaged. My GF and I have hit the 9 months of dating now, and my mom's texting of her had ramped up considerably. She almost texts GF more than I do. Mom is overbearing and has began complaining to her and talking about me. Little embarrassing childhood moments. I hate it. I told her to stop and she said at least I won't be an awful mother-in-law. If she keeps going like this, she may not get to be a mother-in-law. She does the same thing with the friends to a lesser degree. Some are now very awkward around me as they weren't close before, but this has pushed them away. I'm terrified she will do the same for my GF. She won't stop. She even emailed my college professor to check up on my grade. I'm doing well in classes, but it wasn't her place to do so. The professor shut her down and alerted me. I recently went on a backpacking trip. My phone was without signal with one of my best friends, and she took this as the opportunity to go back and FB message my estranged high school friends to try to arrange days for them to see me and her. I haven't talked to many of these people in years. I got back and got mad, and she said your friends are my friends too. She has done stuff like this since early HS, but I wasn't in a place to stop it, nor was it as persistent and aggressive as it is now. I can't have any accounts public, nor tell her who I see, but this makes her cast her net wider. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to lose my family over this shit, but I need freedom and the ability to have my own life. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing. Have an amazing day.